Okay, welcome to my first attempt at live streaming. I am. So I guess I'll kind of explain why I am doing this in the first place. And also, I'm totally new to this, so if there are audio or video issues, um, use the chat to tell me or just text me or something. And I'm a little sick, so my voice is it's not great. So we'll see how it goes today and how much I'm actually able to talk. Um, hmm. Okay. So happy New Year's Eve. I really wanted to do this before 2025 was over because I feel like, uh, I don't know, 2025 was a year that a lot of my perspectives on things shifted over the course of the year, basically starting right away. So, well, okay, sorry, I'm immediately getting mixed up because I'm trying to make sure this interface is like monitorable. Um, okay, so I'll talk about why I want to do this show, and then I'll sort of give my feelings about this past year. But I'm definitely jumping in like as soon as possible. Like I just was able to borrow this equipment from some friends and bought some of it, and it pretty much just like the first test runs were yesterday. So I just want to start talking basically, and that's that's kind of it. Like I've been researching. I've been trying to ever since I was a kid. I've struggled to understand like what is going on in our society, and it felt really confusing and sort of like a gaslighting experience where everyone is sort of uh, playing. It feels like everyone is upholding all of these really unhealthy social conventions and norms that are actually bad for all of us, but even the people who are most attached to them are hurting themselves by doing it frequently. And over the course of my life, I have held that sort of dissonance or confusion, or like it's like I was overwhelmed by the complexity also of trying to even make sense of what's going on in the world. And like I'm coming up on 30, and I feel like I I now I understand certain things more deeply than I used to, and I wish I could tell myself in the past some of these things that I figured out, because I spent a lot of my 20s depressed and at times suicidal, and just sort of certainly not living up to my potential, and experiencing a lot of like psychical agony and psychological distress and physical poor health. And I feel like that is a pretty common story in our society. Like a lot of the people I know are not feeling very good. And I think that that gets worse as time goes on, especially, I don't know. Well, I think there's certain things about our society too that sort of almost trick you into thinking things aren't that bad, such as like the college experience, or like things that you're thrown into immediately in adulthood that are exciting and sort of mimic actually what should be good qualities about living in the world, like experiencing wonder about scientific phenomena and trying to understand it, or trying to understand even just like poetic depth or historical happenings or like a science of politics or anything. Like all of that is very healthy and is those are things that should be present in a society, but the versions that we get of them are sort of I think they're sort of tricky, and I think they're sort of uh not what they could be. Like I think of it with the term Ersatz, a German word for replacement, where it's sort of like just a worse replacement. And there's Ersatzness about everything that I see in our present society, whether it's the jobs that people are working or the way that people are socializing or the way that people are spending their leisure time. And earlier today, I was like making preparations and I was advertising this stream on Instagram, and I okay, yeah. So I was just like receiving a sponsored post. Well, I don't even think they're advertisements. I think Instagram just shows you a bunch of like even the posts that aren't ads are not things that you follow or seek out. And I was receiving like these videos of birds in the wild or like large woodpeckers and like their nests and this stuff that obviously it's great to see, and like I think it is, excuse me, I think it's beautiful, and there's like I'm glad that people are out there doing that nature photography, but it is and it shows me things I would probably just never see in my life. Like I don't think I'm going to travel to South America and look for birds in the jungle or anything. And it feels like it is abusing my desire to experience wonder about the world, where it's sort of like it's satisfying it in a very superficial or like at the id level or something, where it's almost like it satisfies this urge to go out and see the world and understand it, and that leaves you content to accept the fact that actually you're just staring at a phone that's like a foot away from your face, and you were doing the same thing the day before and the day before and the day before with different content that like maybe some of it does stick with you and is moving to you or something, but most of it just really passes you by. And I think that is that's sort of disturbing. So anyway, this whole stream is going to be pretty rambly because there's so many things that I really want to talk about, and over the course of the past few weeks getting this ready, I've felt like such a like an urge to speak, like to use my actual physiological vocal cords and project. I remember when I used to tutor in college, I felt like I had a tutoring voice unintentionally, and I had a just my ordinary voice, but my tutoring voice was a little more authoritative, or it just I guess that's it. Like it sort of had an air of authority where it's like I'm gonna show you what this all means, and I'll like answer your questions, and I want to be very clear. I don't want to mince words at all. I want there to be meaning in what I'm expressing to the students. And then in my 20s, when I spent years with pretty severe major depression, I noticed at various points it would become clear to me that it was like my voice had withered. And normally that was something I wouldn't really notice because I think depression sort of closes you off to a lot of information around you. It's like it closes the context that you're allowed to even think about your experience or the world in. It gives you this sort of miserable tunnel vision. And so you wither away before you even really can understand what's going on, or before you even really know that you weren't so withered to begin with. And anyway, so there was a very distinct point where I noticed that my voice just felt so alien to me and sort of like hollow and distant, and it didn't feel like myself. And I got over my depression some years ago, and ever since then I have been thinking it. There's been this slow crescendo of the significance of the concept of the voice to me. Not even the concept, but the actual voice. So I, sorry, this is just still unusual to me to just talk to myself alone in my room, and so yeah. So I've over the past few years developed a stronger sense of the intricacies of my voice, and I've been kind of trying to strengthen it. But it's hard when you're just like having conversations with people. I've given a handful of lectures over the past year, which is kind of how this came to become an idea in the first place at all, is that handful of lectures where I actually was kind of getting, it's like I was getting my tutoring voice back, because it's a whole different thing to talk to 20 people in a small room compared to just one-on-one or group conversations. And so I don't know, I've just been really feeling like there's this neglected potential in my voice, and I really want to make up for it. I want to like actually speak and use the potential for my articulation of concepts, or just to be able to speak at all. And yeah, so that's how this came to be. And I guess just one more note on that can connect to other ways that we present ourselves to the world and to other people, because the voice, I never really thought much about it for most of my life, but it really is such a significant and unique part of you. It's similar to the face or to the posture, like all of these ways that you actually are presenting yourself to the world. And the more I thought about it, or like kind of meditated on it, and or like sung or tried to like feel where my voice is actually coming from, the more you actually focus your attention on that. This is like with all things in the body and probably outside the body too, but the more you focus your attention on it, you start to actually feel all of these intricate elements of that which creates your voice. And similarly, I always had pretty bad posture over the course of my life, but especially when I was depressed, because like you don't even really know what you look like, and you certainly don't care even if you do know. You kind of just take it for granted and accept that that's the way that it is. But really, I don't know. There's a reason we all start holding ourselves the way that we do, and there's reasons that we start restricting our voices in the way that we do, instead of letting them reach their full resonant potential. Not to mention the language that we choose to use with our voices. It's like that there's a whole other level of anxiety or neuroticism that can constrain your word choices, or worrying about how you're perceived, or say maybe you say something but you're immediately second guessing it and taking it back. So with all that in mind, I'm like just desperate to use my voice more, and it's not something that I can, like I've been hosting lectures periodically for a year, but that's a lot of work, and it is work that I like doing, but I would prefer to practice a whole lot more. So I kind of just want to start doing this every day. I don't think it will actually be, I mean, it's certainly not going to be on the weekends, but like maybe an every weekday thing. But who knows if I can actually accommodate that. I think I'm busy Wednesday nights, but I could maybe do it after. So it's all up in the air, but I'm certainly going to do this for at least a few weeks until I can just get all of this, like, I don't know, just like use my vocal cords, strengthen them, and like also articulate my ideas more effectively, because there's something nice about the pressure of speaking in front of a group of people who are there because they want to hear what you're talking about. And I've been thinking about all of these things related to just the insanity of the society that I live in, and how alienating and hostile and unpleasant it is to roll with, to just like pretend it's all normal and not insane. And so I have like piles and piles of papers and lots of text files where it's been me like figuring this out and reading books and taking notes on books or conversations that I have with people. And it has been hard to turn that into writing. And I've turned some of it into writing effectively, but I think it will come a lot easier if I go through this process of trying to articulate these things, and having presumably a very small audience of people who may be interested in trying to deepen this understanding. Because I think at the end of the day, almost everyone I know seems to feel tremendously bad. There's lots of pain that I witness in all sorts of people, whether they be strangers or family members or friends. And I think we should kind of get to the bottom of what is causing us to feel just, I don't know, sort of miserably. And that connects a little bit also to this sense that I need to start live streaming. Hey, Henry. And okay, thank you, Plaster Paris Productions. Yeah, I was lucky that this mic just sounds really good. Anyway, like, I think there's a I think people are kind of extremely alone, even though we're around people all the time. There's like a deep type of alienation and isolation, and I don't know. Really, it's a type of isolation that I think is going on, and you see it even just in the way that industry has evolved too. Or I don't know. I'm thinking about things like Grubhub and DoorDash and delivery services, and it's like, well, why does that come to be so normal? And people give the reasoning, well, people are so busy with their work and they make enough money, they want to just have their food prepared. And it's true. It is a lot of work to like go through the typical American worker lifestyle currently, especially for younger people who really don't have families or haven't started families or not. I don't know. My mind's kind of going in a few different directions, but the core of how I'm connecting this to speaking is like, there's been this total decay of community, and then also a decay of family, and then also a relative decay of friendship. And what I mean by the decay of friendship is, I think a lot of friendships are becoming pretty shallow and hollow due to the fact that everyone is consuming media in the way that they're consuming media. And that's like the broader point of this whole talk show, is going to be teasing out all of these little things that come along with the way that we are interacting with the internet, with smartphones, with each other, and with ourselves, and with the environment, with the world. So, yeah, there's sort of like, because I am kind of just isolated, like I don't have a community to like speak in. Like I just don't have and I kind of do more than most people. Like I'm able to get 20 or so people together for a lecture, but that's very different than like we all live quite far from each other. I feel alone in a certain way where like, because I live like alone, I've housemates, but like we're not family or anything. It's just I live alone in this broader sense that I think most people do, because most people my age do have housemates and they live in apartments, but they make food for themselves, they work for themselves, they cook for themselves, and that really adds up. There's no sharing of like there's no sharing of the labor, and there's no sharing of like the care, because the broader part of what I'm doing here is just out of a sense of like caring, because I felt so horrible for such a long time. Like I would like to pass that information onto people who were like me, basically. Because say, sorry, that's the sickness mixed with tearing up makes my voice really crazy. Because say it's 5 years ago and I'm going to kill myself. Like, I'm I'm so glad that I didn't do that. And I love being alive now. And I have, like, I don't know, so much of that agony has passed. And the thing is, our society really offers no actual support for those kinds of things. Like, people talk about therapy, but most therapists are, like, genuinely incompetent. And a lot of them are wonderful. And I luckily did have help from a therapist who was one of the good ones. And they're like, but the thing is, like, therapy is this like instrument. It's ultimately kind of an instrument of the system to get you back adjusted into the workforce. And pharmaceutical drugs for like mood stabilization and depression and things like that, I think certainly are mostly tools to that end. But anyway, yeah, so I just imagine like myself at that time in my life, like I could have been helped, and it was mostly an informational thing. Like I think there's just so much I like didn't understand about why I felt the way that I felt, and also how things were even operating in the world, or like, I mean, really it was mostly psychological. So it's mostly the former thing, because you just we don't come up and learn very much about the personality. We don't learn how it's formed and what it can do. And something I think about a lot is that all human suffering ever, the most extreme human suffering, it all takes place in the mind. It all takes place, not to separate the mind from the body or the soul, but it's all a human experience within us. And that, I think that gets kind of neglected by our society, because I don't know, when people really do get depressed and really do get suicidal, there's such chaotic and insane things going on in your mind, like almost like just psychedelic, surreal, weird twists of perception, and like twists of desire, certainly, that like make you want to end your life or hurt yourself or whatever it may be, or just be self-destructive in one way or another. And all of that is stuff that can be explained to people. So I like, yeah, so part of the goal with this as well is just to share some of the things that I've learned about how to live in this pretty hostile situation that we find ourselves in. And I think it's kind of, I want to do it, but I also just feel like it's pretty neglected. Like other people, I don't really seek it out, but I don't think I've never seen anyone doing exactly what it is that I want to do. And certainly in real life, like I just see a lot of like helpless and sad people who are like clearly suffering and clearly sad, but there's just this learned helplessness or like a feeling of powerlessness where it's like, well, what can I really change or what can I really understand? And that's something I would like to like combat in our society, because nothing's going to get better if that's how you feel. And some people are like metaphysically pessimistic about that. And I'm not really one of those people. I just feel like you have to try. So anyways, so sorry, I'll catch up on the chat later. I kind of just need to go in the zone till I cover the stuff that I more or less planned. It's kind of distracting. But okay, so yeah, that's kind of the reason for the show. So the other thing is it's New Year's Eve, so I kind of want to talk about just things that have been really playing around in my head for the past year. All right, so I'll start it with last January, because last January I went on tour down south, and it immediately was just kind of it was immediately on my mind that it was halfway through the decade and that COVID happened in 2020. So we were 5 years. It doesn't, I don't know. I guess everyone says it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years, but it kind of doesn't. And so I was just immediately reflecting on two things. I was reflecting on, it's 2025 now, and that means we're a quarter of the way through the century. And it is 2025, so we're halfway through the decade. We're halfway through the 20s. So I mostly was thinking about the decade thing. I was thinking about how I don't know, from 2020 to now, like what has changed and where might we be going? Like what might things be like 5 more years from now? And the primary thing I was thinking about is how incoherent people are becoming and how unable to it's as if people's worldviews this whole past year, it just felt like people's worldviews were like shattering in real time, and they were becoming less capable of making sense of their perceptions of what is going on in the world or what is going on in their psyche. And so that was kind of my prediction. I felt like I also really wasn't paying too much attention to AI until last winter. And so combining these two things where it felt like everybody's worldviews were starting to shatter, and also people were starting to treat large language models like search engines, where like advanced search engines where it's writing their emails or helping them navigate the grocery store even. And like, yeah, it just it was a really interesting, that's an interesting recipe. And I feel like we're already starting to see what is happening, where people, I feel like there's this like bifurcation that is like a splitting into two that is happening amongst our population, where a lot of people are really rapidly atrophying, rotting their ability to critically think and maintain worldviews and interpret information, and also to articulate that information within themselves or to express it and communicate it to other people. I think that's kind of one side of the equation, is that the proper things that one might practice and experience in order to develop a stronger critical capacity and communicative capacity, those things are not being practiced there. And instead, everyone is addicted to these habits and behaviors that are highly normalized now, that are really, really destructive to all of those faculties, such as like scrolling or using ChatGPT or whatever, just like things that are basically giving people brain damage. Like I saw that I don't know if it's the New York Times or whatever, or like one of the dictionaries or something that does the word of the year, and they said it was slop. But when I heard that, I was like, it should be rot. It should be brain rot, because I feel like that's like, slop is like, who cares? There can be slop in the world as long as you're not rotting your brain with it, literally. So I feel like that's kind of the more important side of that. Anyway, yeah, and now 2025 is ending, and I feel like that definitely has been true. I feel like I've seen people who are just like really struggling to make any sense of what's going on. I mean, even admitting it and just like asking for help. But there's also this sort of ironic detachment that pervades a lot of like millennials and Gen Z, where it like, even when people are, I don't know, there's this like, it feels like people don't take life seriously or respect their own consciousness or respect other people's consciousness, and instead like, it's just like, well, they're just so bought into this sort of relativist myth of like not knowing anything and what can you do. So anyway, that's one thing that was kind of just in my head all year, and I'm not predicting anything for next year, but obviously that's just going to get worse. And the real consequence of that, I mean, there's so many consequences of that. Like, I think even just the fact that is happening in one person, and they're choosing, so like our society's normalized habits that are destroying people's, or shallowing, damaging, I do think it is atrophying like people's capacities to experience the depth of the human experience in general. And I think that is a tragedy even happening in one person. But it's amazing to watch it happen in a technological society at large, where we, in theory, have so much wealth and ability. And I'm not even talking about like as a society, or I'm not saying like, oh wow, we could solve everything if it wasn't for the billionaire oligarchs or anything. I mean more like literally just like us as people. Like we could actually really improve our lives just by our relative standard of wealth and technology that we do have. But unfortunately, it's been totally normalized to engage with these techniques that are dominating our dopamine circuitry, to put it in just like kind of popular terminology. Like, I'm not a neuroscientist, but there is a real like conquering of our of our will that is going on every day. Like, even I think about this stuff very often, and it's been striking me, especially the past few days, because I've been a little sick. So I've been trying to like do things that will clear that up. And like, I've been working on this. I've had priorities. And yet, despite the priorities, the desire to check my phone is so unfathomably strong. Like, I try to kind of meditate on where it's even coming from, because it is like I know like right now, I know, like, I don't care about anything that is on my smartphone. Like, I don't need to know if anyone's interacting with the Instagram account or anything. Like, I don't care. However, it is interacting with some sub element of my psyche that is making it almost the only thing I desire at certain times. Say maybe before I go to bed, or when I wake up, or after I get home after leaving it at home all day or something. That is that's really freaky to me. And sorry, I kind of forget the context for what I was going on there. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's sad enough that we have all this potential as individuals and as small groups of people and as communities to really, really turn our lives around, and yet we are wasting so much time. And it's not just time wasted, because I think there is this popular conception. When I was on the subway in New York and watching people play games and stuff like that, like almost everyone in the subway car was on their phone, and the people close to me I could see were playing games, like just sort of dumb button clicking games. And like, perhaps you do that every day, and you ride the subway and you play your games every day. I think there's a popular conception that when you turn the game off and you put it back in your pocket, that's it. Like, it's just something you do to occupy yourself in that small moment. But it doesn't go away. You're interacting with it in this way where it is really changing you. It's making you want it. It's making you think with it, sort of as an interface. The interface of the game and the buttons of the game and the way that the game works becomes the way that parts of your psyche start to work. At least those very minor, perhaps very minor parts that just really desperately want to play that game again. And yeah, I think when you I don't think anyone that uses their phone a lot as a lifestyle, like, it never goes away. And that's why the drive is so strong to use it at various times. It's like that drive is in you. You want it. And so that has consequences just for people, because like any addiction, it can just make you deprioritize the things that you might actually, at the, like, I don't know, super ego level, be like, I want to do this with my life. I want to be like this. Like, I want to work in certain ways. And it can totally just derail that for you if you're not careful. And we're watching that happen with everybody. Everybody's just watching everyone get derailed all the time. And I just think that is insane. I would like to delegitimize the idea that is normal or okay. I think it is a massive social problem. And I think it is going to have extreme consequences for the control and domination of the human spirit in the near future. If not, I mean, it's already got consequences for that. Yeah, so something I want to explore over the course of this talk show is just like all of these normalized things that are harming the world, harming our society, harming ourselves, harming our families, harming everything. I think we're in a pretty I don't know, it's like a hate-driven society. I would like to delegitimize all of those actions and institutions that we regard superficially. Like, we just kind of accept them because they're there, or we accept them because they're normalized. We accept them because everyone else is doing it. And or even worse is the idea that people want to be doing it, which sometimes that is a counter argument, is just like this, let people do what they want. And it's like, well, why do you think they want to do that? Desire is influenced. I don't want to say outright manufactured, although it is literally manufactured within us, but it's influenced from the outside. And when you create machinery and technology and interfaces that are designed to take advantage of our own internal psychical architecture, sorry, I forgot how I started that sentence, but when you introduce those things and have them interacting with someone's psychical architecture, their desires get morphed. Like, your desire is not this pure thing. You don't just want to do what you want to do, and that's because you're you. You want to do what you want to do because you're you in an environment, and you've always been in an environment ever since you were born. So there's this massive molding, or like a recursive just molding of that which generates your desire within you. And that can't be looked at superficially. I think that is causing major societal issues and interpersonal issues, existential issues, just in the individual. And that combines really well with just like actual physical domination by, say, the state or corporations or hard powers, like actual, I don't know. The phrase that comes to mind is just actual people who could kill you. Where like we're entering into a new epoch where we really, like, for the past 100 years, there's been these techniques of psychological control and just like cybernetic managerial control all being developed, especially after World War II. But it's been going for like, I mean, it's been building up and kicking into gear for quite a while, say since the end of the 1800s, although media manipulation and all that stuff, obviously it goes back pretty far. But this entrance into a new era of social control, I feel like that's what the whole last century was really about. It was building up. And you look at the world wars, and that's an expression of this advanced material, destructive, and I don't know, this material destructive capacity, a capacity to dominate people materially, physically. You can shoot people, you can drop bombs, you can drop a nuke, you can wire telecommunication and get near instantaneous communication about events and start moving things around the globe accordingly. And I feel like other people, I guess, have been woken up to this for a while, but I'm kind of just, I'm just growing up in this world, basically. And I'm realizing how significant this other development of like psychological domination and psychological control techniques has been since 1900, and then really taking off after World War II, because it's just, I feel like we're like, either we're already in it, or we're on the precipice of like the World War II of psychological warfare. Like it's reached its just like industrial capacity, and it is like shattering people's worldviews. It's creating a conformity to economic systems that just extract massive amounts of wealth and assets from people, while debilitating them in terms of their political power and preventing them from being able to have any world building potential or culture making potential in their own lives. Like there's very little that is possible for people, say in the United States right now, as far as like building a house, buying a house, living in a way where you are actually deciding the circumstances that will dictate the life of your community. That's all getting swept away, and it's all through. I mean, it's mostly all through psychological manipulation on this side of the coin. It's all just really, it's very, very strange times. Yeah, and I'm kind of worried about the I don't know, the door closing on all the potential for our lives, because also with artificial intelligence, we're kind of shifting gears back into novel potential for material domination. So, World War II, peak material domination. Right about now, we're in peak psychological domination, perhaps, or at least in an era of it. And yet, with artificial intelligence, suddenly you don't even really need to control like all that much manpower in order to wreak material devastation again. Like to use a nuclear bomb, like you don't really need you need some significant governmental consensus to actually get that to go through. Like say you're I don't know. But say you just have like you're a billionaire with advanced material capabilities, and you don't need to get like a whole army on your side if you can just develop automated weapons that are capable and intelligent enough of dominating the population of a certain area. So it's funny because like the way I think about this is like, okay, I'm waking up to the depth of the psychological domination right at the time where it's probably about to flip back to like just very advanced artificial intelligence material domination. And so you don't like, even if you were to get people to break the psychological chain, so to speak, you it wouldn't even matter because people are out of the equation as far as the material domination goes. Anyway, so hope that doesn't happen in 2026. But yeah. What else we got? Yeah, I was also this year. Well, I talked a little bit about the voice in the beginning, and I've had some changes in perspective on how I think about language as well. One sec. Okay. So yeah, I've just been thinking more about language. And I sell books primarily for money. And this year I started thinking a lot more about older books, because most of the books I've sold over the course of the couple of years of me being a bookseller have been like post 1950. And there's just been this world opening up to me slowly of old books, which is awesome. And in the course of, well, there's kind of two things that have been happening, but they've been happening together, because one is just a stronger appreciation for poetic language. I was never into poetry, and I just never read a whole lot of that. And so I've been kind of developing an appreciation for poetry through my interactions with old books and experiencing older language as well, and just the way people used to talk or reading things from like 1600 or 1700 has been really, well, it's been bittersweet, because I'm like, man, I wish we still talked like this, because now language just seems so totally commodified, where it's just like people are just repeating things like basically verbatim that they've heard, or at least like the formats are kind of this, it's like this verbatim, it's like a language interface, it's just verbatim forms for phrases. Or like I was walking around the other day, and there's like a like the oldest and nicest building around here, and so and two people were walking by, and this, I guess this is a normal thing to say, but she just said, I like that door, and then they just kept walking. And I was like, this just feels like you're liking a post on Instagram. It's it was just such a, like, I get it, I'm not trying to drag her through the mud or anything, but I'm like, I literally think this is because you like things on Instagram all day, that's kind of the way that you are interacting with visual perceptions. Anyways, but yeah, I think there's something to really trying to broaden our sense of how we're deriving linguistic meaning internally. And like I mentioned that I was depressed, and that's very tied up with like deep anxiety. And this isn't what I was going to say, but just as a side note, like those are two words that I didn't understand when I was like in the thick of these experiences. I didn't think it was like depression or anxiety. I just thought I was crazy because of the actual manifestations of that psychological state in my experience were just so crazy. I was like, no one could relate to this. It's not depression. I'm not sad. I'm like unable to, like, I'm like not thinking right. And that was an important step, was like reading more about those concepts in the like medical and historical literature, and then reading about like personality and sort of developing this literacy for these concepts of personality and how our personalities come to be formed. So that's a tangent, but it's related, because that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like there's this lowered literacy. And I don't mean literacy just in terms of words. I mean literacy in terms of being able to look around at perceptual information and extract meaning from it in all sorts of regards. So when you're reading a book, that's what you're doing. You're like looking at pages, you're looking at words on the page and extracting the meaning. You're bringing meaning to bear on the words, and you may have to, you finish the sentence and suddenly you have to go back because maybe the last few words change the whole context of the sentence. Like you're really interacting with that to make meaning out of it. And we do that for everything. We do that for our social interactions, and not just linguistically, but like body language, facial expressions, all this stuff. And yeah, sorry, I forgot. Oh yeah, so this is, I bring this up because this is just another thing I've been thinking about over the course of the year. I'm kind of reflecting on the major shifts in my thinking over the course of 2025. And the other is yeah, so it's just this sense of the importance of a deep kind of literacy where we're able to really understand each other. And that can't happen instantaneously. It kind of has to happen in time. You have to be similar to reading those words and going back. Even if those words aren't triggering that, like you have to process what someone's saying and the way that they're saying it to you. And there's something about instantaneous phone communication and how it prepares us, or almost gets us in the rhythm. It's a perverse, highly accelerated rhythm of just like thinking we can instantaneously understand information. And that's not true. It takes time to process these things. Actually, there's one sec. I like this. I like the introduction to this calculus book, Elements of Calculus by Moise, and just the first couple sentences, because he describes his process for teaching calculus as the spiral process, where you kind of spiral around and you're introducing things at different phases in over the course, and like it just sinks in over the course of this spiral. Like you're just getting it, like it's showing up in different places in different contexts, and that's like helping it stick with you. But yeah, he says the central concepts of the calculus are deep. It is not to be expected that they can be learned all at once in the forms in which a modern mathematician thinks of them. And it, like, not only it would be so unusual for someone to engage with like you'd have to be kind of a savant to engage with calculus and suddenly have that depth. But it's not just calculus, it's all kinds of things in our world that require that depth of engagement and that sustained attempt to understand or sustained practice. Yeah, there's so many things that require that. Oh yeah, so along with that, also in January, I read George Washington's farewell address for the first time, and I read it again, and it just I was kind of shocked by how intelligent it was and how relevant it was, and it also sort of opens this door to me that I really don't understand. I would say I still don't really understand it, but like the founding of the country and like and the development of the country. So wow, that feels so much better. The tea. Okay, yeah. So George Washington. Yeah, just kind of opens this door into like reading primary source materials from historical events that I've received narratives about, but never actually engaged with the source materials. And that's just been another trend over the course of 2025 that has been really eye-opening and significant, because so many people have complicated feelings about the United States, but almost none of them, like myself in the past included, I feel like I'm a little bit better now. Like, can you really track down like specifically either where it went wrong or where these things developed or how they came to pass and what's wrong with them? And yeah, I think there's just a massive historical illiteracy that we have on our hands. So many types of illiteracy going on. And to tie it back to why I'm doing the show, like I like you need to be exposed to things that make you curious and that make you think differently about the things that you get so adjusted to. Like every day every day I go out in the world, and it's like I find it, I mean, I love the world and I love being alive, but it is just so, I find our society like truly disgusting, and just it's deeply repulsive to me. I don't like this whole, like, there's like two sides of a coin, where one is this like shiny, like decadent, nihilistic, consumerist, just like way that people go about experiencing things. Like they'll buy things, or they'll buy experiences, or go to restaurants, or do whatever, and like, and you work some of the day so that you can have your leisure time, blah blah blah. There's kind of that side of the coin, but also there's just like the actual like most egregious violence on Earth on the other side of the coin, and it's all taking place simultaneously. Like the distance between them is nothing. They are the same object. So in my mind, I'm just like walking around thinking about just all the agony and violence and torment going on in the world, including what I consider to be significant psychological violence to us in our society. I don't think it's actually as good as it looks in the sort of like consumerist lens. I think people really are suffering in ways that should not be written off just because there's extreme violence in the world as well, material violence. But anyway, it's like, so say I go out in that all day, like I have to like, and I don't always do this, like that, you kind of have to relax after that. You kind of have to remind yourself that that things are. I'm kind of an anxious person, so I'm inclined to be like just kind of tense and like, I wear my experiences in my posture and on my body, and like I have to chill out after that, and I don't always do that, and it compounds, and like you just kind of get this hardened shell around you where you're desensitized to the intensities of what is actually going on around us, because it's so complex and it's moving so fast, and it is and it's so unnatural. And really, by unnatural, I don't mean that we shouldn't be making cars and the internet and everything. I'm not like an anti-tech person in that sense, but you have to think about like how we were living 3,000 years ago, really even just 300 years ago. And like things are accelerating so rapidly, we might as well be like, we're just so out of our depth as a species under these circumstances. So anyway, that's kind of like, I would like this show to be available to people as a little bit of a respite from just what I consider to be, I don't know, the rest the rest of what's going on out there. And even if no one's really interested in that, like that's what I have to be doing for myself. Like I have to crack open a book, I have to think, I have to play music, I have to call people, talk to people. I want to be doing all these things. Really, that's what I wish I could orient my life around. And hopefully I can at some point. But in the meantime, I have to live this sort of semi-isolated. Like I have social connections, but I'm just like, you wake up, you just, there's a profound type of alone that I feel like people experience. And I don't have a good way of articulating that right now. I mean, really, the point of the calculus quote that I read is like, that's why this is a talk show, and that's why this is going to be like almost every day if I'm able to pull that off, because there is so, I mean, we're talking about life itself, so there's a lot of depth here, and we're talking about the most technologically complex period in human history ever. So there's a whole lot to talk about, and I can't really give the thesis statement right now, not because there couldn't be one, but because I'm still figuring it out. So it's exploratory for me, it's experimental, and hopefully it's conversational. I know I'm completely ignoring the chat, but it's just I can only really do, one thing at a time. So I might go a little bit longer here, and then I can look at the chat. Yes, atomization. It's true. Well, in my notebook earlier, I did write a little bit of a. I was trying to think like, well, what is the thesis statement? Because I think it's cheating if you say something's too complex to really be distilled into something, really a sentence. And obviously that sentence is going to lack a whole lot, but you got to be able to say something in a sentence, And And so like I feel this commitment to just like refuse to deny the depth and importance of human experience. And I feel like everything about my society, if I were to just kind of like play by those rules, would just have me just like in denial of the depth of our own consciousness. Like there, and I find that reprehensible as a concept. So yeah, so I would prefer to just lend no legitimacy to living those sorts of lives. By which I don't mean like I mean like I engage in my society. I think we all have to. I don't mean it like that, but I just mean like we need to maintain this awareness. And that's also why I want to do this as a daily show. It's like I need to be reminded. I need to be reminded of the severity and the gravity of my own life and of all of our lives and of the fact that we're here at all. And I know I'm not alone in that. And even if this show turned into me like reading, three short texts that I find inspiring and maybe having something to say, and it lasts 30 minutes and that's it, like that'd be a better day for me. And if it makes the day better for one other person, then that you have no idea how long away that could go. And so I feel obligated to give it a shot. Yeah. Yeah, because some people really are on the verge of just ending it, and nobody should do that. Oh yeah, this was another attempt to get a thesis statement together. Was just that I want the consequences of our mediascape, like this world that we live in that is mediated by technology, to be so obvious and easy to articulate, that to go through things at just like the base id level seems crazy. Like I would like for us all to be able to reaffirm to each other that like it up is down or something. Like it just I just don't think we should be living in ways that are disrespecting the how rich the human experience really ought to be and is. But it's capable of being totally desensitized. So yeah. I just don't ever want to be comfortable with what's been going on here. Anyway, I think that kind of covers what I wanted to talk about today. I mean, there's more stuff I've been thinking about over the course of the year, but there will be more time to get into that. Another one that I guess just another one though is I've just been thinking so much about music over the course of the year and the healing capacity of music, and also the potential for music to be used for social control as well. So the two sides of the coin. Because, well, I guess just to give an example, like we all have access to like all the recordings on the internet, basically, pretty easily. And recorded music hasn't been being made for very long at all. So there's a huge wealth of all the recorded music in history. Sorry, not of all of it, but of a portion of all of it that we have access to. And yet there's a huge industry designed around getting people to not engage with that music. And I'm not saying that's the purpose of the industry. I think the purpose is to make money and to placate people. But at the end of the day, it's taking people away from music that is deeper or could be more touching or healing, whatever it may be. I don't know. Yeah, so that's just another little thing. So, yeah, the plan for the show is I've just got all these notes, and I want to just start like going through my notes. I think every day I'll just try to prepare some subject and make sense of it. And hopefully taking all these walks through my mind will help me put the system together, so to speak, and get some writing together as well. Yeah, so that's that. Thanks for watching. I will I'm going to look at the chat, I guess. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I think that clipped the mic. No, I have never seen the movie Level 5 by Chris Marker. Never heard of it. But yeah, I mean, I would I don't know. I guess I could hang out for a bit. I'm like willing to I don't know if anyone wants to talk about anything. I guess the other thing I was thinking about was if there was a lull, there was something I could read and talk about. That's just a few pages, but I don't know. Okay, well, I mean, maybe this will be boring, but this is something I read the other day, and it's sort of, I find it applicable with what I was talking about with like psychological warfare versus material warfare, and it's Patrick Henry's speech in the Virginia Convention in Richmond, March 23, 1775. But you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm just live on here, so I guess I might as well do something. It's like 3 pages long, and yeah, it's like 3 pages long. So I'll just go for it. I'm probably going to stop at 2 different points to make the comparison with the psychological warfare stuff that I was thinking about. So, and it's written like this is someone recording the speech that he heard at the Virginia Convention, and I think he's recording it a little while after. I don't know. I haven't looked into it in a while. But anyway, so Patrick Henry rose at this time with a majesty unusual to him in an exordium, and with all that self-possession by which he was so invariably distinguished. No man, he said, thought more highly than he did of the patriotism as well as abilities of the very worthy gentleman who had just addressed the House. But different men often saw the same subject in different lights, and therefore he hoped it would not be thought disrespectful to those gentlemen if, entertaining as he did opinions of a character very opposite to theirs, he should speak forth his sentiments freely and without reserve. This, he said, was no time for ceremony. The question before the House was one of awful moment to this country. For his own part, he considered it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery, and in proportion to the magnitude of the subject, ought to be the freedom of the debate. It was only in this way that they could hope to arrive at truth and fulfill the great responsibility which they held to God and their country. Should he keep back his opinions at such a time through fear of giving offense, he should consider himself as guilty of treason towards his country and of an act of disloyalty towards the majesty of heaven, which he revered above all earthly kings. So that kind of relates to just the way that I think of this quarter way into the 21st century moment, where all of these techniques are advancing rapidly, AI is advancing rapidly. I genuinely think there's sort of a responsibility of people to create a culture that, or at least like, I mean, you have to, I don't know. I really do believe it all starts in the one person. Like, I think people really have to develop a type of discipline with respect to the things that are being deployed to affect us, and, you know, say no and get stronger around it, and like build real community with your friends in a way where you're able to survive the winter. So, Mr. President, he said, it is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. Is it, he asked, the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Were we disposed to be of the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not, the things which so nearly concern their temporal salvation? For his part, whatever anguish of spirit it might cost, he was willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and to provide for it. Similarly, I like, with respect to people's temporal salvation, like, your mind is what you have. And if you're choosing to engage with things that are atrophying your mind, because you see them, but you don't really see what's going on. You don't have the literacy to understand like what happens when you engage with the media. You think it goes away when you put it in your pocket. Like that concerns your immediate. It concerns the quality of the existence of your mind. He had but one lamp by which his feet were guided, and that was the lamp of experience. He knew of no way of judging of the future, but by the past. And judging by the past, he wished to know what there had been in the conduct of the British ministry for the last 10 years to justify those hopes with which gentlemen had been pleased to solace themselves and the House. So for this whole section, I think about kind of tech oligarch type people and government, like surveillance and intelligence and military ability, where it's like if we look at technologically what is transforming around us and how power is moving around us, I think we should all be gravely concerned. So he's obviously giving the example of the British and their actions around him, and how some people are able to sustain this sort of blind hope that things aren't really as bad as they are. So, is it that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received? Trust it not, sir. It will prove a snare to your feet. Suffer not yourselves to be betrayed with a kiss. Ask yourselves how this gracious repetition of our petition, ask yourselves how this gracious reception of our petition comports with those warlike preparations which cover our waters and darken our land. Are fleets and armies necessary to a work of love and reconciliation? This is something I think about with the recent extreme ICE aggression as well, where it's like, it's not even effectively really deporting very many people, but the tactics are so like extreme and kind of grand and almost like, I don't know, it's bizarre. But the capacity for domination of people within the borders, whether they're citizens or not, is something to pay attention to with that. Are fleets and armies necessary to a work of love and reconciliation? Have we shown ourselves so unwilling to be reconciled that force must be called in to win back our love? Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which kings resort. I ask gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array, if its purpose be not to force us to submission? Can gentlemen assign any other possible motive for it? Has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to call for all this accumulation of navies and armies? I think of Palantir and the NSA here, and it's like, yeah, why? Why would they? Why would these preparations even be made? Like, this is, you have to ask yourself, like, what are the ends to which these things are really being developed? And in a sense, the means are the ends. It's just trying to advance this advanced technology for its own sake and increase efficiency and all of this. But it's not only that. I don't believe there's no malicious human intent behind these things. No, sir, she has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They are sent over to bind and rivet upon us those chains which the British ministry have been so long forging. And what have we to oppose them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 10 years. Have we anything new to offer upon the subject? Nothing. We have held the subject up in every light of which it is capable, but it has all been in vain. Shall we resort to entreaty and humble supplication? What terms shall we find which have not already been exhausted? Let us not, I beseech you, sir, deceive ourselves longer. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne, and have implored its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the ministry and parliament. Our petitions have been slighted, our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult, our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. In vain, after these things, we may indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There's no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon, until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. They tell us, sir, continued Mr. Henry, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be the next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when a British guard shall be stationed in every house? And with respect to that, there's a psychological warfare introduces more so this type of internal in this case the British guard in your head, who, you know, you can become conformed to this totally non-threatening or even society defending citizen. You can sort of become bribed into your own complacency without ever knowing it, and worse than complacency, like actual support. So shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means which the God of nature hath placed in our power. 3 millions of people, armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that which we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations, and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no election. If we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat, but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat, sir, let it come. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what the course I know not what course others may take, but as for me, cried he, with both his arms extended aloft, his brows knit, every feature marked with the resolute purpose of his soul, and his voice swelled to its boldest note of exclamation, give me liberty or give me death. So, yeah, we do need dojos for inner literacy. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the energy to bring into 2026 because we are you know, we've got no power and we're also rotting our brains willingly. So let's stop doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a natural defense mechanism against grief, being stuck in denial. And even, I wonder if it even gets to the point of grief or if it's just sort of a trauma type response or like almost like the trauma of confusion or something. I don't know. It is so strange to think about children being raised now. And but like, even just like us, or even people born in the 50s or something. It's like the conditioning that the child undergoes is not right. And like you compartmentalize that and you find ways to cope with that. And I think some people, my friend put this well recently, but she was saying she thinks some people like are they literally can't conceive of what is going on because that is just such a deep like traumatic conditioning process that detaches you from really everything you were ever supposed to be doing as a biological organism. I agree about silence as the dojo. I think there's, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was going to talk about tomorrow. Or tomorrow I was going to try to prepare something where it's a little more like, what am I thinking about going into 2026? I guess like resolutions or something. And a big part of that for me, and yeah, is just the idea of refusal, where you kind of need to disengage from a lot of things and slow down and be able to be in silence. I think silence is very I think you can learn a tremendous amount about what your body has become, what your psyche has become through seeing what it does in a more or less sensory deprived state. And I don't mean like getting in the tank or whatever, but like if you like just wear, sometimes I'll wear earplugs and put on earmuffs and have like an eye mask on and just like kind of meditate like that, or I'll have a notebook next to me and I'll just be like trying to think like, or no, I'm kind of trying not to think. And yet I do think, and those things that come up are the things that it's interesting to explore, because it's like, well, where is this coming from? And what does it want me to do? And is this like a hurt part of me? Is this like where, how did this become what it is? Yeah. A lot of people are coping with life by playing cookie clicker with an auto clicker. They are the auto clicker, I guess. Yeah. Um I don't know. Well, like I said, that's kind of what I had planned. I guess on another note, I do eventually want to get this set up so people can call in, kind of like more like an actual old school radio show. I think that could be cool. And yeah, maybe do some more reading. What do you guys got going on? Yeah, I mean, along with the silence, it's just like the speed of everything that's going on is totally insane. You and I talked at one point about uh, Paul Virilio calls it, I think, the synchronization of emotions, where it's just like, yeah, or as McLuhan puts it, like you're plugged into this global nervous system, and suddenly you're like, that's hard to reconcile within your body. Um, like because you really are just aware of all those things going on, even if you aren't like particularly, even if you aren't really paying attention to them. Like once it has become available, like it changes how you even think about your own experience of your nervous system on a deeper level. Like it doesn't really change it necessarily on the meta level. I'm drinking I'm drinking traditional medicinal's throat coat tea, I believe, with some honey. Yeah, I'd like to get into the music talk a whole lot because I think rhythm and the heartbeat and all of our biological processes and that stuff. I don't know. There's a lot to say about rhythm and pace and frequency. Entrainment. That what is that? Um, nice. Oh, I guess I'll read it for the alignment of an organism's circadian rhythm to that of the external rhythm in the environment. Um, but that can be taken even more generally. Yeah, hopefully these start the monologues start getting a little less chaotic. I think I just have to talk it out literally. I don't think there's any like there's no there's no material, there's no like writing preparation I can do that's going to make me able to speak more organized. So, and that's another big part of why I want to do this so frequently is I kind of well, you're talking about growth and acceleration. I'm trying to I'm kind of trying to accelerate my growth in like my ability to speak publicly, coherently, and articulately. So yeah, I'm trying to speed run ironing these things out. Yeah, and then once we're well, he says, I think of devices as facilitating entrainment to an artificial or alien pace and frequency, hostile to biological pace. And I think that more or less is true. And it's also like you get Stockholm syndrome about it. You, like people, I don't know, or like decades ago, it was like you just have to watch TV after you got home to relax. And it's like, well, how relaxing is it really? Is it actually kind of like wiring you in a certain way? Because it is actually like a weird biological experience to see and hear things in a really like limited range while you're not moving or anything. And yeah, so I think people get pretty attached to the pace at which they're experiencing life, and that's why slowing down is so hard. Or I talked a little bit about how insanely yeah, I'm trying to fertilize my mind. I there there's or like yeah, I think of enriching the mind and everything. Or like I don't know, trying to find all those areas of my mind that are like neglected and exciting them, and like I don't know, getting some movement in there. And yeah, I might have brought this up earlier, but that's what I was thinking about when I went on that walk earlier, and I was looking. I don't know if I wrote this down or if I was talking about it, but just looking around outside and like registering all the changes in motion and distance. I was looking out over the water, and there was land on the other side of the water, and there was a lot going on, and I was cold, and you know, I'm in the midst of walking, and I was like, man, this feels so good to like have my eyes be doing this exercise, because I've just been sick and preparing for this, so I've been stuck inside, and it is so so different from looking at a screen or even looking at your own bedroom where everything's just static. Yeah. Well, also, if you haven't, like and subscribe, as I have to say. Sorry, I'm not used to talking into a mic. I hope I'm not making any loud sounds or like drinking sounds or whatever. Um, what are you guys up to? Any New Year's resolutions? Is anyone reading anything? Anyone reading anything good? I guess I can. I could Q&A the chat. Oh wow, that has a weird interface. Where's my chat? Oh yeah, well, yeah, you two should talk to each other, and I think that that's a noble goal. I will be branching out socially, especially including my extended family who I haven't talked to in a while. That's how I feel as well. Um, that's always good. Well, actually, it's kind of like it doesn't really feel like I've had the opportunity. It it's weird to be a kid around all your family and then like be kind of separated from the more distant parts of your family, and then and then you grow up and there's such a there's a divide. So there's people in my family I also have been meaning to reach out to who the last time I talked to them I was a kid or like in high school, but like early high school for some of them I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I would like to do that. I've got to use the bathroom. I will be right back. I hope the be right back screen is not too loud. Sorry, sounds like maybe that was too loud. Yeah, hopefully at the end, I don't know, I turned it down a little bit. My bad though. Should have given more of a heads up. Um, on the note with what Henry was talking about being adjusted to like other okay, nice. Well, I turned it down. Um you never know. I can't hear it and I don't have headphones in. Like it could have fucked someone up. And oh yeah, well, yesterday I was buying a book on eBay and I I like at the checkout or like even before that when I was just like adding it to my cart, it had this like it wasn't a pop-up, but it just like had this text on the screen that said breathe easy, returns accepted. And I was just like this doesn't it's weird cuz it's like mimicking that idea of like slow down or this phrase breathe easy, but it nothing else about that experience is like I mean, it agitated me personally. Cuz I'm just like shut the fuck up. Like I I know it said that on the other page, but oh, okay. All right, well, I well, I might turn it back up then. Cool. Yeah, I guess yeah, I can see my voice level. I think it was kind of matching the voice level. But anyway, I just thought that was funny with eBay because it's like, all right, well, I'm wired into this experience of buying something on the internet, which is like already has my and like researching the book and like eventually buying the book and yeah, so I'm wired in and then it's like, oh, just chill. It's like, well, there kind of is no chill when you're doing stuff on the computer. You're at the pace of the computer or of what you're doing on it. Yeah, wellness advertising. Wow, I like that it's it's ranking you guys number 1 and number 2 in the chat. I like the just the competition. Yeah, I've noticed kind of a shift in advertising recently, like past month or so, or maybe like just Black Friday season, seeing some stuff on Instagram where it's like trying to be like quirky internet humor. And I don't have any examples. None of them really stuck with me, except I guess there was an Apple advertisement that I found disturbing or just kind of uncanny where it was just kind of like a TikTok dance singing a song about uh this was a while ago. Uh Kind of just about the song was kind of about like the richness of life and everything and like not wanting to miss out on stuff and like but it was uncanny. It was a little I found it disturbing. And yeah, I don't know. There's been a handful of other ones like that where I'm like this is I mean it's like the how do you do fellow kids Steve Buscemi meme is how it comes across. Nice. Damn, that is insane. On the back seat tablet pointed directly at you in the Uber, it tells you to breathe and roll your neck. Oh man, I those yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been in an Uber in a long time, but I remember like seeing that for the first time and it had the game. I mean, some restaurants do that too. It's like yeah, people are like developing an inability to be alone with themselves at all or like unstimulated, not experiencing some novel excitatory visual phenomena or auditory. I mean, people listen to music all the time too. And yeah, I don't know. That another thing I was thinking about a lot this past year is just like as people get older, because I'm getting older. I'm like I'll be 30 in by the end of 2026, and Sorry, it's kind of hard to decide where to look sometimes. I think it probably just looks better when I'm staring at the camera. Um, but if you have feedback on that, I would actually appreciate it. I guess I'll get to watch it later and find out. But yeah, the other thing I was thinking about is like, um, oh yeah, because I'm getting older and like you people get set in their ways. Like you just really if people don't if people like late 20s and in their 30s and all this like if you can't, and I'm not saying people can never change. I think people can change in certain ways even when they're elderly in dramatic ways. But this stuff with the brain rot and with the addiction to distraction, where you just like can't bear to not be distracted, you aren't able to be alone with your thoughts or alone. Period. That is going to like it goes along with this worldview destruction thing that's happening this decade. It's like that is gonna you're gonna be a, like and I don't want it to sound like I'm like saying you like but like that's gonna fuck you up if like that's the urgency. Like when I'm reading that Patrick Henry speech, that's what sticks to me or sticks with me about that is like yeah, just the urgency that he's describing. He's like the whole thing he's just like don't like everyone's being way too hopeful about this and I don't get it. Like all the signs are there that like you're in serious danger. Like don't just be hopeful about it and like wait and see. Like now's the time. And more recently this year, on that note, it's a good joke. uh, oh yeah, more recently, I've been thinking about. I touched on this, like just how hard it is to not use your phone, even when you're like, like really aware of how much you want to be doing other things with your life. Like it is so addictive, and that's something I've been thinking about recently because like I don't want to get stuck in my bad habits. I'd like to break as many bad habits as I can and like fulfill my potential towards certain goals that I have in my life, which are not those goals are not going to be furthered by spending a lot of time on the phone. And so I've been kind of like meditating on the concept of discipline and all these feelings I have where I'm like I don't know. I did like I kind of conceived of this as like a discipline workout afterwards the other day where I was just like I was just forcing myself to do like everything I didn't want to do that would be good for me, and also forcing myself to not do anything that would not be good for me. And it was exhausting. But it was just like, I didn't go on my phone. I did exercise. I did do my dishes. I did clean my room. I did like, it just kind of, like I was just honing that. And I actually noticed the following day, I guess maybe it's because I'm getting sick, but in the morning I was kind of exhausted in a novel way. But like I said, I'm getting sick. But I do think it contributed like some sort of cognitive, like, holy shit, you're like putting me through the ringer here by like not letting me, or like posture was a big part of that too. It's like, well, if I'm reading this book and I'm sitting on the floor or something, it's like I'm not gonna let myself hunch over to read it. I have to like, it was sort of physically exhausting in that way too. Or when I was exercising or doing yoga, it was like, suddenly I've felt this. I was putting the pressure on myself to actually hold the poses longer or make them more uncomfortable, which is what I should be doing. Not uncomfortable in a bad way, but like I should be actually experiencing that. Like you can do yoga and cheat. Like, but what's the point? Yeah. Well, I don't know. What's going on? I guess. Well, I won't end the stream while we're all here, because I mean, I'm not doing anything else other than preparing for tomorrow's. So I'll kind of check my notes and see what's going on. But if anyone has anything to talk about, let me know. But yeah, sometimes I feel a little bit crazy. Um oh great, thanks Ben. I appreciate that. Glad to see you here. I was thinking about you the other day because I was thinking about like eventually having people call in on the show, and I was like, it would be nice to talk to Ben. So maybe someday we will make that happen. Um. Oh yeah, but the other thing about doing this is like sometimes I just feel, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not crazy because like I read I or like I read these books and I see like how I feel described by people, whether it's 20 years ago or recently or 300 years ago, and it's like, okay, great. But I find our society so distasteful, and like so many people are participating in it unquestioningly, and I'm like, that makes me feel kind of crazy, but I'm confident that I'm not, so I'm doing the show. And hopefully I can meet some other people who feel the same way. Oh, nice. Nice. More friends in the chat. Everyone's showing up late. I don't actually know how many people were in here at the peak, but I feel like 13 is we're maybe peaking. It was kind of like 10. Hmm. Wow. Up to 15. I guess anyone just showing up could rewind for the monologue there. How often? I kind of want to do it every weekday. Um, yeah, I want to do it till I not until I run out of steam, but there's like there's just so many things to talk about, and I think if I just prepare like a little thing every day, it'd be easy to do like an hour a day with like weekends off, or maybe not exactly weekends, but a couple days to do something else at night. But this is kind of what I think matters, honestly, for me. I think it's important to try to figure these things out, and I think I was kind of hitting an impasse in my own like writing, or even just parsing what I've been writing, and it was kind of discouraging because I don't know. I can write, but it's just like it's a lonely activity, and there's so many other parts of my life that I spend uh like not can I don't know. Ideally I would love to live in a way where I actually see like my loved ones, or I see my family members frequently throughout the week, and my friends like before those family members pass away, my parents and everything. And that would be amazing to me. But that's not how my life is set up right now. And so I'm kind of like, I go through the days, and then when I try to focus on writing, it's pretty solitary. I have people who I talk about these ideas with, and we help refine things together, and that's nice, but that's not super frequent either. And it's hard to get everyone together because we don't even live in a super close proximity to each other. So this just seems like a better way of, I mean, this is the experiment, but I think this is actually probably a better way to kill a whole bunch of birds with one stone, where, I can work on my voice, I can hang out with my friends, I can maybe help someone, and all the while, I'm that was that was a good pronunciation of that. I all the while I'm clarifying these things, like, I'm going to go back and listen to this at 2 times speed or whatever, and just kind of like do the spark notes. And I think it will make me a better writer, because it's just like it'll get all the like gunk out of me, so that I don't have to try to do that with writing. Because when I do that with writing, I just wind up with like piles and piles of paper, and like folders and folders of text files, and then it's so hard to read them, or it's like labor intensive to read them. I like having conversations with people about this stuff, but yeah, I should do 9 to 5. I'm just on call. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm open to doing it a whole lot, but it's weird to be on the internet. So yeah. Yeah, I probably got to stop looking over there. It's just there's just so much going on, though. I'll figure it out. Actually, I just got a monitor on Craigslist, but it was acting freaky. So really the monitor would be like right here. It wouldn't be so dramatic as looking over here. Belt beeper. Yeah, to do the show. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like what else? We just we shouldn't be satisfied with not being able to describe what's going on in our lives or in our society or on the globe. I think it's a priority of utmost importance to people who have, the proclivity to do that kind of thing, like intellectual pursuits. It's like, don't get lost in the weeds, and don't get like satisfied with just kind of like casually talking about it. Because I sell books on the street, and I'll talk to a lot of people on the street about this, and like I'm not expecting them to go all in, but like you hear so many just like kind of half-assed like explanations or rebuttals, and it's like I want to be around people who they're working out their rebuttals like on paper first, and not just like or in language, but like you don't stop at the first thought. You have to keep going. You have to like work all the way through it. It's like some people actually do like maintain this sort of like question everything mentality, but they like don't answer anything. It's like you should try to answer everything also. And like you should, like, it should be hard. You should work on it. Yeah. More water. Bro, you guys are tied for number 2 right now. Well, yeah, I feel weird about saying. I mean, I know a bunch of people just have their real names in the chat, but the video is going to be online afterwards. afterwards. And yeah, so but from earlier, yeah, 508 and 11. You guys should be friends. I could put you in contact. I mean, you're on opposite sides of the country, but that would be that'd be a cool friendship since 508 is branching out. I'm just looking for something to talk about since since we're chilling. If you're just showing up, we kind of did most of the show, but we're chilling now. Wow. Oh, nice. Well, I'm trying to avoid saying people's names on the stream, but um, Mr. 11 and Miss 1358 know each other. Bedtime story. Actually, yes. Yeah, I would love to read a bedtime story since it was requested. All right. Um okay, so this is a story by Saladers. Saladers on Instagram. I don't think they'd mind me uh saying that or reading this. All right, so here's your bedtime. All right. On floor and stare at wall amidst debris and eat peanut butter sandwich. Sphere present now. Wow. Hi. They told me these grant wishes, so I didn't expect it ever. I think it would be funny to wish for, like, a Coca-Cola. Just one, then frown. I'd never hear the end of it. How I could have changed the world and fixed everything. Nag, nag, nag. But okay. I don't want to think about this too long, really. I wish for the richest 1,000, 10,000. The richest 10,000 people in the world to die. Like, sickeningly, very undignified. Don't make them experience a lot of pain or do. I don't care. I just mean that's not what I mean. I mean, make every single one of them create a massive, insane mess when they pop. Like, intestines up in the chandelier, their feet end up in two different rooms. Like, people find toes and fingers and eyeballs and ears all over the estate randomly for a century after. Like, huge mess. Something you cannot look at and think, they got raptured. Something absolutely redemptionless. And I want people to not be able to figure out why this happened, okay? So it happens. The world economy collapses. A lot of stupid, obnoxious infrastructure collapses. Various military coups and re-coups. And I end up living under a bridge with a bunch of other people, and I'm actually enjoying myself. And one day, my new filthy friend says, "It's really crazy how all those people exploded." And there's this guilty expression all over my filthy face, and my friend says, "Hey, why do you look so guilty?" And I look even guiltier because I really can't hide this sort of thing, and I wear it all over my face. "Did you do it somehow?" Bwom bwom. "It was a wishing sphere, wasn't it?" Bwah bwah. And because my friend guesses it, it undoes the wish, and all the scattered body parts start flying together from all over the world to reassemble into the bodies. And it's very complicated, actually far too complicated. And a ton of body parts end up stuck in the middle of hard surfaces and thick boundaries, like that one guy who got teleported into the hull during the Philadelphia experiment. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, I'll stay on until New Year's, I figure, at this point. But yeah, follow Saladers on Instagram. She's a genius. Yeah, I would do another story. It's another short one. Okay, this one's for all. Actually, not even for all us drivers. It's for all of us because we're all around drivers. Take a sip. I've been drinking so much water. It doesn't even help anymore. Uh, Green light. Man simply isn't in the mood to drive. The one behind him begins to lean on the horn. Readings detected slight pupil dilation, instantaneously slight elevated cortisol, very rapidly tapering back to baseline. A concrete, discernible reaction to the horn, which he was able to accept entirely, become completely unbothered by. Demonstration of a profound adaptive mechanism. The one behind him did not abate. Horn continued to sound, unbroken. 1, 2, 5 minutes. Foul molten rubber. Odor suddenly. Paint peeling off nearby houses. People falling dramatically, dead, out of windows, clutching their chests. All windows of both cars explode. Claxton plaques amass calculus. Cached caustic cascade harasses en masse. The horn sound thickens and grows. Every car alarm in the universe goes off sympathetically, forever. The one behind skin, meat, wife, children, slough into nothing. Bones explode into chalk aside from Petrine cross of two ulna locking horn to sound forever. Not forever. Sphere of sonic hatred enlarges and tolerates absolutely nothing at fucking all until it negates car horn mechanism. Immaculate spherical cutout of universe about a foot in size in car horn. Providence is evacuated like Chernobyl. The horn can be heard at all times, from everywhere on planet Earth, forever. Anyway. Oh, man. I do need more honey. Yeah, that that story is inspired by being here for like a week. Yeah, I have a feeling I can tell who everyone is in this chat, but there's a couple that I am not totally sure. No, I cannot see the usernames of the lurkers. Thank you for the microphone compliment. I'm glad that it just sounds good. Simply sounds good. Got it off Craigslist. And now I'm just like Joe Rogan. This giving your honking anecdote. This one's just like a paragraph and is a true story. A truck just drove by that sounded fucking insane. It sounded like it had a boat engine inside of it. I've never heard anything like that before. Like fucking wobbly. It even sounded like it was underwater. The truck stopped at a streetlight under a bunch of guys hanging out on top of a parking garage, and one guy started shouting at the truck, "Yo, you need to fix your car. It's gonna explode," and kept repeating, "It's gonna explode." I don't think the truck guy said anything back. He stayed stopped at the green light as if he was thinking about it, then drove off. Wow, I can't believe I'm turning all my real social relationships into parasocial relationships as we speak. Yeah, damn. Well, we're getting close. It's true. Don't forget to like and subscribe. None of you have liked the video. What's up with that? Oh, you asked a question. I like Propaganda by Jacques Ellul. And Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television. Hang on a sec. Yeah, these are great books. And yeah, pre-internet, talking about psychological influence, psychological warfare. Some of the books smell good. Some don't smell like anything, and some smell like mold. Well, while we're zoomed up, I'll show you a few books. I just got this one from a friend that I think is very beautiful. It's a copy of some of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Yeah, we're going book cam. This is such a beautiful book. I think it's 19... oh no, it's the 1890s. It doesn't say, but it's from the 1890s. The publisher was only around for like, there he is. Well, not the publisher, but yeah. And the inside too. Sheesh. Crazy. Text blocking. Quite nice. Yeah, me neither. I read hang on. But I read a little bit of this out loud recently, and I oh yeah, I'll respond to that in a sec. I Yeah, I read just a little bit of this out loud. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. But it was just so nice to say. Um like, when that April with his showers swoot, the drought of March hath pierced to the root, and bathed every vein in such liquor, of which virtue engendered is the flower. It just, especially reading this one, that's like uh, just over 100 years old. Something real nice about that. But hold up, I don't know what the oldest book I have is, but I definitely know what the oldest paper I have is. So these are well, spoiler alert. I kind of I was intending to give these as gifts whenever I don't have a gift for someone. And so this paper is from 1648 that these were all printed, and they're from Francis Correll's Book of Emblems. I think it was a poetry book, but it had these pictures on the opposite pages. And when I was looking into it, I think it was John Milton who had like the author of Paradise Lost, who had had some harsh criticism. He was like, yeah, he was making up for his really lackluster prose with these beautiful etchings. But yeah, I think it's cool. This paper, it's not like any other paper I have. It's from 1648. Some of these are pretty funny too. Like, there's one where someone's like hiding under the bed. Yeah. By night on my bed I sought him whom my soul loveth. I sought him, but I found him not. And it's like, maybe Christ under the bed. I don't. It doesn't really. It's hard to tell. But based on the text, I would think it was about Christ and the context of the other images. Thoughts on William Blake? I like his doodles. I like some of his little drawings. The ladder to the moon drawing. But I don't know pretty much anything about him as a person, and I've only read like some handfuls of his poetry. I know some people really notoriously large head. I know some people he can be divisive. Some people really love him, some really hate him, but I don't know. Yeah, I've been thinking yeah, it's the Jesus under the bed. The one too, I showed it for a second. I didn't read it, but this one is I sat under the shadow of him who I have desired, and it's just like a really crazy image. I don't know how well you can make it out, but it's like, what is the background here? I actually haven't even looked at all of these yet. This is a similar one. I will rise now and go about the city in the streets and in the broad ways. I will seek him whom my soul loveth. And he's peeking out right there. I'm not sure if it's an angel or I don't know. Because this one, well, the other thing is, I guess I'm not totally sure that all these images were made by the same person. I didn't write that down when I was looking it up. Because I was going to say the one of Christ, he has the crown of thorns. It seems very clear. Are not my days few since... I don't know if I can actually read what this says. Are not my days... Hang on, let me... You guys can try to read it. We're going... Yeah, I don't know if I... Ideally, I was thinking of this today. It would be nice to... This is probably not clear enough for anyone to give a crack at, but that's the best I can do. But yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool to... It'd be cool to actually set up a book cam where I can have I can just show something right here and have it imposed on the screen or cut to just that shot exclusively. That could be cool. But yeah, I got a lot of these. Oldest book. I don't have any crazy old books. And the oldest ones are probably things that I haven't even looked at yet and are on my loft. So, not accessible. Oldest book on my research shelf is probably this biography of Alexander Hamilton by Henry Cabot Lodge, which I can show. I've only skimmed parts of this one so far. This is from 1886, I think. And yeah, and someone marked it as just $1. But this book is so I've only skimmed through it, but it is so funny. Or he's just really bro loves Alexander Hamilton. Or he's just I don't know. I don't really use this word, but the only word I can think of is glazing. He's just because he's just like, man. And then Hamilton, like when Hamilton would hang on. But he's frequently just like, and when Hamilton would read a book, it would just enter into this like crystalline matrix of his mind, and he would like organize it instantly in this I don't know, he's really talking him up. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but it comes across as kind of funny. For example, I mean like right on the first page. Like right on the I'll read the whole paragraph for context, but it's funny when he compares his brain to to certain luxuriant tropical plants. On the 11th day of January in the year 1757, the wife of a Scotch merchant in the island of Navis gave birth to a son who received the name of Alexander Hamilton. Many varying elements were mingled in this boy. He was a British subject born in the tropics, Scotch on his father's side, and of French Huguenot descent on his mother's. To this conjunction, many of the qualities which Hamilton exhibited in afterlife may be traced. But that which strikes us most at the outset is his extraordinary precocity. His mind and character seemed to partake of the nature of those luxuriant tropical plants, which in a few months attain the growth permitted only after years of conflict and care in the harsher climate of the north. It's just instantly, yeah. This is an old one that I found recently. That's cool. I really like the Tao Te Ching book from ancient China, the Way of Virtue book. And this, I'd never seen this translation before. It's also got, oh, well, I'm not zoomed in anymore, but it's from, it's just an old book. Yeah, 1916, printed in Glasgow. And I haven't given it much of a read yet, but it seems good. I mean, sometimes you can open a translation of the Tao Te Ching and be like, this sucks. I don't want to read that. I have one over here, actually. So we can do a side-by-side. We can see if... Yep. All right. Well, yeah. Let me do a side by side of a verse that I tend to like. And maybe, maybe this isn't bad, but I remember picking it up one time and being like, because yeah, this, maybe I'm thinking of a different translation. Oh, well, I guess he's switching genders in here, as I feel like a lot of people were doing in like the 90s maybe. The sage is a man and a woman, depending on the verse. Okay, yeah. All right, well, I won't hate on Stephen Mitchell too hard. Some of these are all right. That's what I'm holding. This is like this is this is super tiny. And then I mean this is kind of a small hardcover book too. But yeah, for for size reference, this book is this is a pocket Dao De Jing for sure. This one's not super old, but I am curious about it. I just put it on the research shelf. This book is from 1950. It was first published 1933. This book was printed in 1950. Wow, you've seen smaller. Damn. There's I mean, yeah, some people, some booksellers have like collections of really tiny books, and they've been doing that for a long time. There's books from like the 1700s that are like just novelty, extremely tiny books. A reading for 2026. Well, I've got 18 minutes to decide on. I don't know if you were here. I kind of I did kind of I didn't set out for it to be like that, but I read Patrick Henry's speech to the Virginia Convention. Um, Give me liberty or give me death. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, I could read it again. I could say "Give me liberty" or "Give me death" at midnight. I mean, some people are definitely they're still making the novelty tiny book. If you seek it out, you will find it. Yes, the stream is pedal controlled. Well, how do we randomly select a book? I kind of know what all the books are in here, but I don't know what's in them. But it would be I could roll a die. I could roll a die and decide. I I think I do have some notes from the Continental Congress somewhere around here, but you're just trying to get me to get everyone to leave. Close my eyes and point, but I guess okay. Okay. I Ching. I've never read that one. I actually don't know who KE3236 is, but I have guesses. Okay, there we go. That's a that's a way. I guess yeah, you guys could decide. Oh yeah, I could read Tristram Shandy. I actually do have a nice old copy of it. Well, it's kind of nothing. Well, no, it's something special, but it's not like super nice. But I can't pick a random page. I guess I could pick a random page of Tristram Shandy. Yeah, I'll do a random page from Tristram Shandy. A random chapter. The chapters are really short. My brother's reading Bartleby right now. A copy I gave him. Um okay. Okay, I will every page part 1 to 5 goaded. How many parts are there? Okay, so first half. Pick something from the first half of the book. Yeah, it could just be the black page. Then we would know this is real. Mr. 508 just read Tristram Shandy, and it really Oh, nice, cool. All right, well, yeah, you are who I thought you were then. If you are reading Medical Nemesis, nice. Yeah, this is the sign. This will be the sign. All right, so I'm going to the start of this chapter, but this is kind of a It's funny because most of the chapters of this book are like 1 page long, and then this one happens to be like 10 pages long. It's the sermon, if that means anything to. But yeah, I guess I mean it is what I landed on, so we're reading the sermon for the end of the year. But 508, stop me if it's if you think I should stop. I don't know who I don't know if I actually doxed anyone. Um oh, I see what you mean. Um Sound up. Should I just how about this? I can turn it up. Yeah, I got a little far away. I'm supposed to be here. Um check. I'll go a little bit higher, even a little higher. Check. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so this is our chance reading here. The sermon. Hebrews 13:18. For we trust we have a good conscience. Trust we have a good conscience. Surely if there is anything in this life which a man may depend upon, and to the knowledge of which he is capable of arriving upon the most indisputable evidence, it must be this very thing, whether he has a good conscience or no. I am positive I am right, quoth Dr. Slop, who maybe is the guy who's delivering the sermon? I'm not sure. If a man thinks at all, he cannot well be a stranger. If a man thinks at all, he cannot be a stranger to the true state of this account. He must be privy to his own thoughts and desires. He must remember his past pursuits and know certainly the true springs and motives which, in general, have governed the actions of his life. I defy him without an assistant, quoth Dr. Slop. Oh, nice. Well, yeah. Feel free to give context to the chat, and to me. In other matters, we may be deceived by false appearances, and as the wise man complains, hardly do we guess aright at the things that are upon the earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us. But here the mind has all the evidence and facts within herself, is conscious of the web she has wove, knows its texture and fineness, and the exact share which every passion has had in working upon the several designs by which virtue or vice has planned before her. The language is good, and I declare Trim reads very well, quoth my father. Now, as conscience is nothing else but the knowledge which the mind has within herself of this, and the judgment, either of approbation or censure, which it unavoidably makes upon the successive actions of our lives. 'Tis plain, you will say, from the very terms of the proposition, whenever this inward testimony goes against a man, and he stands self-accused, that he must necessarily be a guilty man. And on the contrary, when the report is favorable on his side, and his heart condemns him not, that it is not a matter of trust, as the apostle intimates, but a matter of certainty and fact, that the conscience is good, and that the man must be good also. Then the apostle is... So this is going back and forth the sermon and then like bracketed commentary on the sermon. So, aside. Then the apostle is altogether in the wrong, I suppose, quoth Dr. Slop, and the Protestant divine is in the right. Sir, have patience, replied my father, for I think it will presently appear that St. Paul and the Protestant divine are both of an opinion. As nearly so, quoth Dr. Slop, as east is to west. But this, continued he, lifting both hands, comes from the liberty of the press. It is no more, at the worst, replied my Uncle Toby, than the liberty of the pulpit, for it does not appear that the sermon is printed, or ever likely to be. Go on, Trim, quoth my father. At first sight, this may seem to be a true state of the case, and I make no doubt but the knowledge of right and wrong is so truly impressed upon the mind of man, that did no such thing ever happen as that the conscience of man, by losing habits of sin, might, as the Scripture assures it may, insensibly become hard. And like some tender parts of his body, by much stress and continual hard usage, lose by degrees that nice sense and perception with which God and nature endowed it. Did this never happen, or was it certain that self-love would never hang in the least bias upon the judgment, or that the little interests below could rise up and perplex the faculties of our upper regions, and encompass them about with clouds and thick darkness? Could no such thing as favor and affection enter this sacred court? Did wit disdain to take a bribe in it, or was ashamed to show its face as an advocate for the unwarrantable enjoyment? Or, lastly, were we assured that interest stood always unconcerned whilst the cause was hearing, and that passion never got into the judgment seat, and pronounced sentence in the stead of reason, which is supposed always to preside and determine upon the case? Was this truly so, as the objection must suppose? No doubt then the religious and moral state of a man would be exactly what he himself esteemed it, and the guilt or innocence of every man's life could be known, in general, by no better measure than the degrees of his own approbation and censure. Okay, I think that's enough of the sermon. But it actually was kind of relevant to what we were talking about. Dr. Slop, I feel malaise. Dr. Slop, man of 2025. Yeah, we're really getting there. What are we going to do this year? Any predictions? Yeah, that's how I feel. Otherwise, I'd just be chilling, probably chilling alone. But yeah, I don't know. I did like in the that passage that it talked about the hardening of our moral sense, because that's kind of how I think about the desensitization to everything, or like numbness, the kind of shell that everyone winds up wearing around. Yeah. Maybe by this time next year, I'd like to live somewhere less fucked up. Oh shit, we've got 30 seconds left. Although I mean we're experiencing a delay actually of probably like 20 seconds. So when yeah, in a way it's like we're not experiencing the turn of the new year together, because we're separated by our 20-second lag. So for me, according to my computer, right now, 2026. Yeah. Damn. It's over. 2025 is over. I feel like, yeah, 2026 I just want to me and all my friends and all my future friends, we just have to be on the right side of the brain atrophy bifurcation occurring in our society. And yeah, I don't know. I actually didn't even talk about this whole other way I've been thinking about that recently, where it just feels like everything is like this. I'll elaborate on this more another time, but just like a hostile vector field that's just like it's just like attacking every point of my existence and trying to drag it down, and you have to kind of like walk through walls to get around it through your existence in order to and you have to overcome that. Like, it's like you're always taking damage, and it's like one thing to just get to the level where it's like, okay, well, I'm not taking damage anymore, but then you want to be growing on top of that, and that's that's the trick. Is anyone doing anything on New Year's Day? I think I'm gonna go to mass at noon. The year is done with. What should I call this show, by the way? Very open to suggestions, because I don't really know. I'll read. Yeah, I'll. Oh well, I don't have the translation that I'm actually familiar with of the Tao Te Ching, but there is something I think about when I think about the coming year, and some of these reverse they reverse the chapters, unfortunately, because of how the order in which they were found. But if I can locate. Oh, nice! I found it. This is something I think about a lot. There's sort of a particular understanding of the concept of virtue that comes with the Taoist texts, and I won't get into that now, but that's what de is in the Tao Te Ching way of virtue book. Jing is book. So let's see. I've never read this translation, but this is a verse that I like and that I think about. He who is established in goodness shall not be uprooted. He who cherishes goodness shall not be cast out. His children to all generations shall be blessed unceasingly. Cultivate it in the body, your virtue shall become true. Cultivate it in the family, your virtue shall be superabound. Cultivate it in the village, your virtue shall endure. Cultivate it in the kingdom, your virtue shall flourish. Cultivate it in the world, your virtue shall be universal. Therefore, according to the body, judge the body. According to the family, judge the family. According to the village, judge the village. According to the kingdom, judge the kingdom. According to the world, judge the world. How shall I know that there is some faith in the world? The witness is in itself. Okay, so Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry if that clipped. I'm going to call it here. And thank you for joining me. And maybe see you tomorrow. If all goes according to plan, tomorrow, the next day, 9 p.m., Monday, 9 p.m., we'll see what happens. Thank you.